Hello, BookTube and PoetryTube. This is Mike Frost, the postmodern poetry prognosticator. Today I'm going to do a tag created by Adrian over at Stripped Covered Lit. I'll link it to below, but the tag is called the Poetrytube Highlander Tag. For those that might not be familiar, Highlander is a series of movies and a TV series about a group of immortals that had to do hand or sword combat. Killing each other until there was only one. There was only one, or there could only be one. So this is a series of questions created by Adrian over there, which lead with, there can be only one. And he did a lot of quoting, and I'm going to try to, quoting a verse, I'm going to try to keep mine to a minimum, because I have a tendency to go long on these videos, and I'm trying to caution myself to go a little shorter on the videos. I won't make it, but here we go. Question number one, there can be only one poem about a flower. Now, Adrian went with I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth, often referred to as the Daffodil poem, which is an excellent choice, Probably would have went with that myself, but I have in my Poetrytube newbie tag, I talked about Robert Burns' Red, Red Rose, and I'm going to repeat myself here only because it's the Highlander tag, so I have to go with a Highlander for my first poem. So I'll go with Robert Burns' A Red, Red Rose. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair thou art, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I. And I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gone dry. Till all the seas gone dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. And I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of time shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while. And I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile. In my Poetrytube newbie tag, I talked about why I liked that poem, so I'll refer you to that one to keep the interest of time short. The second question by Adrian was, there can be only one poem about a bird. What is it? So he talked quite a bit about The Blue Bird by Bukowski, being his favorite poet. But then he went with Returning of the Larks by Isaac Rosenberg, which is an excellent choice. But for me, so he waffled between two answers, so I'm going to waffle as well. For me, if I was going to now go with a poem that's not strictly about a bird, but The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, if there could be only one poem about a bird, I'd have to keep The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. But it's way too long for this, and it's not strictly about a bird. So since he used a bird in the title, I feel I have to go with a bird in the title. And then there can be only one answer to this question. I don't see why there could be any other one. So I'll take this one as The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. If there can be only one poem about a bird, it's got to be The Raven. Too long to quote here, so I'll just keep moving. If you don't know The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, shame on you, and look it up. It's a great poem. But I think everybody that clicks on this video would know The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. I'm going to assume so anyway. Let's see. Question number 3 was, there can be only one poem about death. And he went with a great answer, which is Emily Dickinson's I Died for Beauty, a wonderful poem. Give him points on that one. If I could only keep one poem about death, another one that would be way too long to quote here, would be Alfred Lord Tennyson's In Memoriam of A.H.H., a rather lengthy poem, but if there could be only one poem about death, that would be it. But in the interest of time and quoting a shorter poem, I'm going to go with, for my answer, Dylan Thomas, Do Not Go Gently Into That Good Night, which is short enough to quote here. Do not go gently into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men in their end know dark is right. Because their words are forked, no lightning, they do not go gently into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in the green bay, rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men, who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way, do not go gently into that good night. Grave men, near death, who see with blinding sight blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay, rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gently into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. So if there could be only one, and I have to pick a shorter one because Alfred Lord Tennyson's beautiful poem is too long to quote, I am going with Dylan Thomas, Do Not Go Gently into That Good Night. Let's see here. This question number 4 is, if there could be only one poem about dreams, which one would it be? And Adrian beat me to the punch on Harlem by Langston Hughes, which would be my answer. Hands down, easy one there. Absent that, though, just to be different, I went with the Edgar Allan Poe, A Dream Within a Dream. Take this kiss upon thy brow, and in parting from me now, thus let me avow, you are not wrong to deem that my dreams have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in the night or in the day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep, while I weep. O God, can I not grasp them in a tighter clasp? O God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? So if I can't go with Harlem, I'm going to go with Poe. So that's 2 for Poe this week. I think he was a favorite of mine or something. Number 5, there can be only one sonnet. What is it? Okay, so Adrian went with Shakespeare's Sonnet 15. An easy choice. I went with something a little less known. Okay, Shakespeare sets the standard, so I can't argue with him picking a great poem. You can pick almost anything by Shakespeare and find a great poem in the sonnets, almost. I'm going to give him no points for difficulty on this one because he picked an easy one. Now I'm going to go with Shelley's Ozymandias, a different type of sonnet. I met a traveler in an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered vestige lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that the sculptor well those passions read which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appeared, My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing besides remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Shelley's Ozymandias is my choice if there was to be one sonnet. One trench poet, if there could be only one trench poet. He went with Siegfried Sassoon, and I can't argue with him. I couldn't pick another poet that I would go. So I'm going to cede the point to Adrian on that one, as much as I dislike the idea. But Siegfried Sassoon is, to me, the quintessential trench poet. So I've got to go with Siegfried Sassoon with him, as much as I loathe the idea of agreeing with Adrian for it. Anyway, moving on. If there could be only one romantic poet, who would it be? He went with Wordsworth, another one that I would have taken. He beat me to that one too. It's quick on the draw, this one. So just to parry that thrust, I will take Keats as my romantic poet. You can't get any more romantic poet than Mr. Keats. And I love his Ode to the Grecian Urn. I think it marks exactly what romantic poets mean to say. The whole idea of romantic poets is distilled into this one poem, an Ode to a Grecian Urn. It's a little long, and I'm trying to stay good with the length of these videos. Not doing so well, but so I will read only the last stanza. So that, for interest of brevity. So he talks about he gives a description of the urn, the Grecian urn, with a bunch of action figures on there, but they're frozen in time. Of course, it's a still life. So he gave a long description of this, and then he ends with this stanza. O antique shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought, with forest branches and trodden weed, thou silent form dost tease us out of thought, as doth eternity. Cold, pastoral. When old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in the midst of other woe than ours, a friend to man, to whom thou sayest, beauty is truth, truth, beauty. That is all ye know on earth, and all ye need to know. And I think that distills the whole idea of romantic era poetry into one stanza. So for my only remaining living romantic poet, I go with Keats. Let's see here, where were we? Let's see, a poet living within the last 50 years, if there could be only one poet that lived within the last 50 years, and he went with Charles Bukowski. All right, I like Charles Bukowski. I'm not going to try to dog Charles Bukowski here, but if you only had one choice of a poet living within the last 50 years, I have to go with Pablo Neruda. Have to. Who could write lines like his Poema 20? Puedo escribir los versos más tristes esta noche. Escribir, por ejemplo, la noche estará estrella y tría tan azules las astros a lejos. El viento de la noche gira en el cielo y canta. Puedo escribir los versos más tristes esta noche. Yo la quiste, y la vez, él te amben, me quiso. Charles Bukowski can't write that kind of poetry. And for a body of work, Pablo Neruda. But I'm going to take this to the next level. He said, now, he mentioned Langston Hughes, who didn't qualify, died in 1967, so he didn't make it by a little bit. Pablo Neruda died in 1973, so he squeaks by into this category of being in the last 50 years. He was living in the last 50 years. But I wanted to talk a little bit about a poet that was born within the last 50 years. So upping the ante on this question, a poet born within the last 50 years. And He's probably not going to be very well known on this in Poetrytube either. And I can't put him with these other categories of poets. But Mattie J.T. Stepanek, if you've never heard of him, wrote a series of poetry books circled around the heart song. This was Heart Songs is the title here, and then it was Hope Through Heart Songs and Journey Through Heart Songs and Celebrate Through Heart Songs. And he wrote, co-wrote with Jess Peace, A Message of Hope with, if you can see, Jimmy Carter there. Mattie died tragically very young, but he lived well beyond his expected life expectancy. Redundant there, sorry. But if you don't know Mattie J.T. Stepanek, I'm going to link a few of his poems below, as I'm going to link all these poems. He's one who moved me very deeply when I discovered his poetry. A wonderful story, tragic story, but break your heart kind of story. But if you don't know Mattie J.T. Stepanek, to me, a great soul, which makes a great poet. And I'll leave a link below. But if you don't know him, I hope you'll take the time to find him. Okay, so the last question. You and the other poetry tubers are left to battle for supremacy. How does it go? Well, it doesn't go well for me. Not that I don't think I could hold my own against most of the male booktubers, poetry tubers on this, on YouTube. I'm probably one of the few combat trained, combat experienced poetry tubers. Having some training in this, I don't think I've never been in a sword fight. Well, I've got 4 kids, so I've been in a few Vorpal sword fights. I didn't win all of those battles, but I have been in a few actual knife fights, and I have been in mortal combat. So I'm not too worried about them. Unfortunately, I'm of the generation that still believed in chivalry, and I don't think I could ever raise my hand in violence against a woman. And there are some good Poetrytube women, females, out there in YouTube land who would just bat their eyes and say, "Oh, Michael, won't you please give me your head?" And I would have to bring it in on a silver platter. So it wouldn't go well for me in Poetrytube if there could be only one. It would not be me. Sorry to say. But that finishes the tag. It was a wonderful tag created by Adrian over at Stripped Cover Lit, who creates great tags. Yes, Dalton does create good tags too. I'm not arguing with Dalton. I know the two of them have been at each other a couple of times on their variety hours about who creates the better tags. But I'm a fan of both. This one happens to be created by Adrian, and I appreciate him keeping Poetrytube out there where everybody can see it. So thank you very much for watching. I refer you to the links below to the original tag, and if you are on Poetrytube and wish to take my head, I invite you to do this tag. Thank you very much, Poetrytube.